To activate, place thumb on scanner. Approved. Welcome to USIDent television. Transmission mode, the Southland.
What's Southland Tales all about?
It's about the end of the world.
Oh,
It's a comedy.
I said it was a love story and a musical.
Yeah, it's all those things.
It's all those things wrapped into
All
one.
those things.
It's a movie about the end of the world, and it's a comedy.
My favorite thing about Texas is the sky. I think it's possible that a terrorist would bring a nuclear bomb across the Texas-Mexico border. I think nuclear weapons are a necessity now, but it's a bad necessity, I guess. It'd be better if no one had them.
In the film, we quote liberally a Robert Frost poem called The Road Not Taken. And that's really the best way to describe Southland Tales, in the sense that it's a political satire about an alternate future where our country has been hit with another significant terrorist attack. By no means are we trying to make light of terrorism or make light of anyone who's suffered or been a victim of a terrorist attack, but in a way, we're trying to approach the issue of how divided our country is right now and how we might respond to such a crisis in a very bad way.
It's Richard's response to the Patriot Act and terrorism and to the United States' perception in the world, and the fact that we are essentially destroying ourselves because we can't create an alternative fuel.
We're trying to explore what would happen if someone were to instantaneously discover a magic formula that ends our dependence on foreign oil. But that solution just doesn't seem to exist. In this film, we're really aggressively talking about a lot of big issues, whether it's homeland security or alternative fuel or our civil liberties, pop culture, pornography, the whole spectrum of ideas that we're sort of injecting into this science fiction thriller, an action film. There's elements of a musical. It's a hybrid of many genres, and we're hoping to make a film about a lot of the big hot-button issues that we're facing as we go into another election, and try to use comedy as a way to provoke discussion.
It's taking a look at it in a comedic way from the ridiculousness of the uber-conservative and the ridiculousness of the uber-liberal, and how those two extremes are basically coming together to bring about our own destruction.
I felt I needed to poke fun at the liberals as well as the conservatives. I'm a liberal and I'm a Democrat, but I think it's always important to poke fun at yourself. And if you're going to criticize anyone else, you have to be willing to criticize yourself first. We're at war with other countries, but we're also at war with ourselves. And if we don't win the war with ourselves, we're never going to win the war on terror, and we're never going to accomplish anything.
Neo-Marxist compound.
There needed to be a sense of these people who live here being drawn to causes and ideologies, but also a little bit underground, a little bit rough and tumble, growing pot in the corner, meth lab in the back. And what we did on top of all of that is we said, okay, here we have a left-wing radical movement. They're based in Venice, California. They sort of jump from cause to cause, but they're sort of centered around some interpretation or some misinterpretation or even some sort of non-knowledge of Marx and Marx philosophy. So all of that said, we also then said, okay, what are they really rebelling against? 2008, the United States is in another war. Do we bring war imagery in? Do we bring some of those other things in? And so we tried to layer this up. And the first thing we did is sort of paint, a lot of this was white, paint a lot of the white out, and then did these big giant block quotes, basically from Marx. You can just, at this point, you can barely see pieces of it. Then what we did is we came in and hung posters. And then with the set dressing, we tried to really have no restraint at all and get the craziest stuff we possibly could. Tracy Doyle did a fabulous job dressing the set. And we got to really play bowling pins with ex-presidents' heads on them. Disgusting, vulgar, blow-up dolls with fluorescent lights through their head, which was my last day input. And tried to create a space that pretty much everywhere you looked, you got a sense of real tapestry of all of politics and art and insanity at the same time.
Action. And cut.
In many ways, what Boxer has written in The Power plays out in real life. So it's all part of his supernatural ability to foresee the future. Although he doesn't know he has that supernatural ability, this is my interpretation of it, he has written it down in the form of a screenplay. And the irony of it is, the haunting irony is, as the movie unfolds, it's everything that Boxer's written in the screenplay.
This is an epic Los Angeles crime saga.
And you're researching your role. You play a cop. You want to do right along.
Roland, let me ask you, what goes through your head when you sit behind the wheel? Cruising the streets, digesting humanity. Is it a process of elimination? Each car that passes, the person inside, are they a mere suspect?
Novelas place.
Hey, I've seen your act. It sucks. Just because you're loud doesn't mean you're funny.
You know, you might want to watch what you say, bitch. Sometimes a dream can become a nightmare on the turn of a dime.
That was good because Zora was a little hurt there. She was a little vulnerable. I like it.
But never pull the gun out. It's just because I'm confused.
I think that you don't want to go through with it, and I don't think if you pull your gun out, it means that your character is willing to go through with it, and I think that it makes your character smarter to not think about it, but then to be like, no, this is bad news.
Right behind you, officer. Never seen so much fog.
We have a possible domestic disturbance at 14,000 Noita Place. Do you copy?
Copy that. Did you fuck him? So what if I did? Did you like it? Fuck yeah, bitch.
They're so good at improv.
Shh.
Okay, we are hot and ready. 3, 2, 1.
A little bit of a, kind of like, not as bad as like maybe holding a firecracker, which I can imagine that's pretty bad, but it's a slap, like a hard slap in the chest. I'll wake you up. Everybody has those little pretend moments of dying and playing dead or whatever. But it's fun to do it in a movie because you know it's captured and you affect people by how real you make a moment like that.
It's supposed to be like slapstick comedy, and we want it to be really ugly and brutal and stupid and kind of malicious the way real violence is. Not to glorify violence, but to illustrate the stupidity of it is the point. To make it stupid and kind of funny, but still disturbing.
How to run over your actor.
You know, a lot of people think dudes getting run over by cars is easy. Like you just step in front of a car and it hits you and they wrap for the day. But it's not. It's complicated and it's a process. Some would even call it an art. And tonight I'm going to show you the art of a dude getting run over by a car. So come with me. So tell me, I just want to know what's going to go down here tonight because I've never been run over by a car. So tell me how it works. Like, how am I going to get run over? I don't actually get hit by a car.
You're not. We have a stunt double for you, actually, which is going to actually do the impact. This is going to be, they're trying to do a CG shot because it's too dangerous to get you that close to the car.
Right, thank God.
So we're going to lock off a camera at the intersection and have you rollerblading the back of you down past the intersection. And then we'll keep that same camera locked off as a one-page shot, have another shot of the car crossing the intersection. And in post-production, they'll overlap them so that the car will get into about an inch of your body.
So I and the car will never actually be in the same shot?
Never be actually in the same shot.
Okay.
It's gonna look like it's gonna look like you're about to hit. As soon as they get that impact, we're gonna cut to a shot inside the car, looking over the driver's shoulder, out onto the hood of the car. That's when the stunt double comes in. We're gonna back the car about 10 feet from the stunt double, go in at about 10 miles an hour. A little trick we do is, in the elbow pads of the stunt double, we put metal nuts.
Really?
Yeah. So as the stunt double comes over, he'll crack the windshield with his elbow, and that'll splinter the windshield, giving it a bigger impact.
How's it going? My name's Hank Amos, and I'm doubling the character Bing tonight for the car hit. We're just setting up the shot. There's a camera inside. The car's gonna be coming at me at speed, and I'm gonna do like a shoulder roll and hopefully shatter the windshield. Car hits are one of those stunts that you can prepare for them, but you never really know what's gonna happen. So what we're trying to do is just get all the variables out and you know, make it as safe as we can. But when they yell rolling, you never really know what's gonna happen.
Roll camera. Rolling camera. And action.
That felt awesome. That was a fun ride.
A little movie magic, a little real stunt magic, and he got a pretty good car hit.
It leaves with rollerblades sitting right there.
I'm gonna need serious therapy after seeing that.
How to chop off your actor's hand.
His arm kind of fits into this shoulder cup, which is a casting from his body. So this fits directly onto him. And it's to cheat this fake arm here. So this is all covered with wardrobe, his arm's tucked behind him, and you've got this whole fake arm. Took a casting of his arm and hand for the gag. It's very realistic, painted with hair, details. We've rigged a puppeteering rod that's picked from the elbow with full pivot to everything in the arm. And this whole arm is rigged with blood tubing that runs down along this armature through, which you can see these tubes here, which will be rigged to blood pumps with a variety of different thicknesses of blood to give arterial blood or just kind of thick superficial blood. Now we can see all the different details inside, muscles, bone structure. There you go.
Baron is so bitter, he's demanded the pinky finger. That's really, and there's all sorts of other intense negotiation points, but it's the pinky finger. And your attorneys have overlooked section 42 point whatever, or the 6-inch margin of error in the chopping radius.
I do that on my contracts too.
Yeah, I think everyone should.
So they're underneath a bed, they could see guys.
I don't know what kind of safety meeting you give for pumping blood. Guys, let's stay ready.
Michael, could you tip up just a little bit, please?
Okay, we're set. Thank you very much. All right.
That's good.
Okay. Hey, only Mark.
Where'd he go? You still there?
Okay, and set.
And action.
You bastard! You said finger, not entire hand! Clearly, your attorneys didn't read the whole contract.
The world of pornography, the world of politics, the military, big business, spies, people involved in surveillance. He's kind of cooked up a story that brings these things together in a way that they don't really fit together in daily life, and yet it all fits together in this dream world.
Southland Tales, it's a very romantic name. You translate it into Chinese like 南国的童话. It's very innocent and poetic in a way, kind of like dream, kind of like. But in the film, combine all these chaotic things that within our life that we don't know, we don't see, but he somehow magically singled them out.
It's just like you imagined. This is the way the world ends, not with a vampire,
but with a bang. It reads to me as an extraordinary futuristic science fiction film with a lot of emphasis on the fact that the world may not exist ever again as we know it now. I think his vision of, the end of the world may be very extreme, but he does envision an end to the life we know now of sort of being forced to go along with the garbage we have to live with.
My assistant, who was responsible for focusing, said, I've heard of these shows where you stay on a 17mm or wide-angle lens for the whole show, but I've never had one before. And I'm enjoying it because it gives us a real perspective to the world of Southland Tales.
Santa Monica Pier.
We're here at Santa Monica Pier at the arcade, which in the film has been converted into sort of a nightclub for the soldiers, and it's called Fire. We are going to be filming a musical sequence in here with Justin Timberlake and 8 dancers dressed as Marilyn Monroe. We're going to track with Justin through the arcade here, and our dancers will be revealed on the skee ball lanes. They'll be kicking their legs, like an old musical. And we'll take Justin through to see the 8th dancer here coming out of the photo booth. And we track through over past the bar where all the soldiers get liquored. And into here for our big finale. I think it's a really great song, and it has a more specific meaning when you apply it to the voice of a soldier who's been sort of disillusioned by war and trying to remind the world of that he or she is a human being and not just a killing machine.
A lot of people would probably be scared of a film like this, but to me, this film wins either way. Because if it makes people laugh, then it wins. And if it pisses people off, then it wins. And if it makes people realize that there is something going on in between the lines that they don't necessarily think about every day, then it wins.
And what did we do once we discovered a rift in the fourth dimension? We launched monkeys into it.
My agent called me about the screenplay, and she was almost in tears because she couldn't make head or tail of it and was very frustrated. And I thought anything that got that kind of reaction was an interesting thing right off. So I got hold of it, and I found, as everyone does, that reading it the first time it was impenetrable, but it was so intriguing. And it wasn't just like, well, this is a bad script, I don't understand it. It was good, and I did not understand it.
I've never been in a movie before where I didn't really understand the story or my part in it. And yet when I'm doing the scenes, they make sense. Because how can you be in a movie that you don't totally understand how you fit into it, and yet when you make the scenes, they make sense while you're doing them? And so that seems like that wouldn't be possible. But the reason is because Richard, the director, is very clear on what your particular scene is about and what you're doing in that scene and what you want. And in every scene, there's three things an actor, once he knows his character is, I mean, there's a lot to it, but then the main three things are: what do you want, what's in your way, and what are you going to do to get it? And he makes those three things very clear. So that's why you're able to play the scene in a movie that you don't particularly understand where you fit in.
Cider, cafe, and small world books.
What the hell are we doing with rain in September? I'll tell you, it's global warming. What a trick. But when you're confronted with this kind of situation, you make adjustments. You just make adjustments. You make it work the best way you can. All right, and does this shot move at all?
No.
Just like that. Okay, where is that tree? Okay. That tree.
Just get rid of the one on the right. Just try to keep it.
Pan left. Now tip up to the trees, and then tip down to this. How's that? Something?
Yeah, let's do that.
Sometimes it's disappointing, sometimes it's an advantage. Like I think we got a terrific shot this morning with the toy soldier in the rain, close up on the ground. It's always a matter of improvising, and as you plan, you always plan for the ability to improvise as well.
Wow. So is that the name of your television show? Now?
It's a topical discussion chat reality gabfest. I think Krista is an interesting representative for sort of this disposable culture that we live in of late, and this sort of tabloid frenzy, this need to know every aspect of everyone's life and to sort of be involved in all these different lives, as we have all of these magazines that come out weekly and these talk shows and these reality shows. It's just such a departure from what celebrities or actors used to be, and it's sad to me that she's incredibly representative of our time. Join us for an in-depth discussion of the penetrating issues facing society today. It's interesting to compare sort of the idea of celebrity to where the ideas of USIDent are going. As a society, we crave so much personal information about people that it just makes you wonder at a point how much of that knowledge will be public to everyone. And that's sort of a frightening thought when you think about being controlled that way.
All information sanitized to declassified level. We are watching.
USIDent is basically a government agency that is, if you think Homeland Security on steroids, it is a Homeland Security department that is chartered for domestic service and has taken over all of the functions of local law enforcement, FBI, Secret Service, Department of the Treasury, everything down to parking enforcement, meter maids, local police, Sheriff's Department. It's all under this large USIDent banner. Basically, all of the information is routed through one nerve center, which is this office. And so we had to come up with an environment that sort of allowed, was bureaucratic, was clean, was monochromatic, was repetitive, gave us a feel of large bureaucracy and sort of Big Brother quality. At the same time, it had a little bit of, it needed to have room for sort of, and have visual room for a Boxer Centaurus shrine, for allowing somebody to sit at their desk and shovel Cheetos into their mouth. And we basically looked at this room and said, okay, let's set this up for a big entrance Steadicam shot, basically arrange it down a center aisle, and then play off cubicles, groupings of people on either side. Behind the etched glass doors, Rich had always envisioned basically a motherboard room where the head of USIDent, head of this part of USIdent, Nana Mae Frost, has access to a million different surveillance feeds from all over the city. So it's as if she has the ability to control almost any security camera you can think of, and she's constantly recording people and seeing pretty much whatever she wants to, from inside the women's bathrooms at LAX to just general street cams to traffic information to special security cameras that are on glasses, which actually have cameras and infrared built into them. And some of the footage that Nana will be looking at through the course of the film will be basically the playback of that footage. And so it'll have a handheld feel and basically being recorded by undercover agents who are just out all over the place.
Right here is Miranda Richardson's costume. And if you see, it kind of looks like Snow White's mother with this big collar. And she actually had 7 little men with her. She was the head of IDent. The costumes for the IDent, we thought that everybody would go in their regular clothes and probably had a room to change, even though we don't see it in the movie, to put these sanitized clothes on.
We are watching. Is that part of you, or is that part of the actual ATM?
They added that.
Oh, okay.
I think he's so close, in an absurd way though. He like tossed it into this absurd view of exactly what he thought it was going to be like. The gas prices going up, everybody having to find this alternate fuel energy, having to find something, you know, else. And ultimately completely causing chaos to the entire world where existence is ended. You know what I mean? Like, we're just screwing everything up so much and trying to fix everything that we've screwed up so much by something else that screws up everything even more, that there's no way to fix it, really, except for if we just stopped. And we're way too dumb to just stop.
Venice.
We're tricking the viewer into thinking that the truck is moving by moving the lights instead of the truck.
Randomizing the wheels of death. A little fast, a little slow.
My shake, really consistent light.
Your shake was okay until you told you to change it. Set.
Lightning. Cigarette?
It's great to be doing conventional movies, but most of the time it's much more interesting to be doing something that's completely different, that's completely full of imagination, full of fantasy, full of originality. He's creating a world that exists and that you can see and view according to what you feel and what you want to see in that world. So is it true, is it not true? It doesn't matter. It's a fun world, it's a hard world, it's the world of today, set in the future.
I think a lot of people are going to have a lot of questions after they see this film, and they're going to go see it again and find the answers. I think and the people that watch this film and are confused or don't understand some of the things that are happening, I think there's so many resources in the graphic novels and the internet that they can walk through and understand it. And I think that there's so many themes that come into play here that I think people are going to love it.
I always think that comedy is the best medicine, that it can be a tonic, hopefully, for people to come to a civil discussion about a lot of the big issues that we're facing when we decide where we're going to vote in 2008. And my hope is that this film can kind of touch a nerve or strike a nerve with people who, you know, who like Donnie Darko or who like my work or respond to it, particularly young people, a younger generation that really needs to get out and vote. And obviously I want to entertain people, I want to make people laugh, but I feel like for 4 years of my life I've sort of devoted myself to this, this insane tapestry of Armageddon and the moment of what's happening in our country and kind of dealing with my own anxieties and getting this whole sort of apocalypse thing out of my system once and for all.
Have no fear, have no fear. Cosmic barriers been broken. You're going on a little waltz to the fourth dimension.
Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference.
Oh, USIDent vote for you! Oh, USIDent break into your house into! Jericho came!
Transmission terminated. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching.